In this video today, I'm going to talk about law enforcement a little more. I talked about that on my first video and anticipate a lot of people are thinking, what in the world? She's a cop caller. But this was specific about my daughter's case and saving my daughter. So I'd like to kind of give you some of my experiences working with law enforcement and why I had to do that. There's a lot going on in the background today. Today is my granddaughter's 4th birthday, and her brother turned 2 on the day that their mom put herself in Life Changers. And I say that she put herself there because it wasn't court ordered. I will tell you, I was petitioning the court to put her there so that it would be court ordered, because I knew that's what she needed. Fortunately, she made that decision on her own last Wednesday, and that's where we went. So I want to talk about law enforcement. I mentioned that in my first video about include your law enforcement, and I'm sure that that is a sensitive subject for a lot of people. Knowing who you can trust in law enforcement is hard. They're all supposed to serve and protect us, the citizens. But as we know, that doesn't always happen. Another thing that might be on your mind is, well, I don't want them to have a permanent record. I raised my kids to not tarnish the family name. In saying that, what's more important? Everybody knowing that you're in a crisis mode, that somebody that you love is living a lifestyle that could potentially kill them, or getting the help that you need to help save them from their self-destruction. And, for me, I needed law enforcement's help. They have more experience. In most cities and counties are trained to be the first responder. So, if they are searching for your loved one and they know they're on drugs, then they can make sure that they have a kit to revive them if they find them unresponsive. So that's one thing. Another thing is they have, a network where they can get the information out there and help you find them faster than we can. Word on the street's not near as powerful as the law enforcement network. Another thing, they can't prosecute without enough evidence. Okay, so just by calling and talking to them and telling them, hey, this person, I love them, they're doing drugs, I need help to get them off the street, I need them in rehab, they're not willing, is there anything you can do to help me? They're not gonna go and with this person, but if that person comes across them and they have that knowledge, they might be able to arrest them. Once they're arrested, then they will be required to do some type of drug rehab. Yep, you can hear JD in the background. So that court-ordered drug rehab and drug testing is, one step in the right direction on getting them to acknowledge what they're doing and get them scared perhaps into trying to stay straight or try to stay sober. It's not going to fix the problem, but it's an avenue that you can start with and, potentially maybe save their life. For me, I worked with 15 different agencies because she was, kind of going through different areas of our state. She had friends up north from where her dad lived, and that went through several counties. So, and then, where we lived and where her drug dealer boyfriend lived, those were all different counties. Some were city, and some were just, the highway patrol. So I worked with each individual ones. I gave them her picture. I told them her whole history. I told them who she was hanging out with. I told them who the drug dealer boyfriend was. I, encouraged them to look up his case net, everything, so that they knew what they were dealing with. In one day, she was stopped and searched 5 different times. Okay, she came home that day because she was scared and paranoid. That didn't get her to Life Changers, but that got us to the point of where we finally were able to. I want to encourage you to reach out to your law enforcement. They may have steps that to advise you and to help you, and set your priorities. Is it more important that they don't have a record and that they could potentially end their life using drugs? Or is it more important to go to law enforcement, let them know what's going on, give them a make and model of the person's car, give them a picture, tell them how long it's been going on, who they're hanging out with, and let the police handle it. They're not going to go searching necessarily for that person unless they're in danger. But when they do come across their path, and most likely they probably will, then they can arrest them and get them off the street. I'm going to talk to you how law enforcement, in a sense, I feel like failed us. And that was too many times she was stopped and she was let go. Law enforcement, the officers have a lot of training, but they're not deep into it like the addicts are. Okay, I had one officer tell me it looked like she had been beaten because she had bruises all over her. No, those were track marks, okay, from shooting up, hitting the vein, and she bruised. And so I thought, okay, our law enforcement officers probably need a little more than just the crash course of drug addiction on how to be able to see the signs. Another thing he said was, he's like, I think she's depressed, she needs help. She needs psychological help. Well, yeah, she does, that's right. Part of the reason why she's using drugs. But, all the different agencies that I went to, all in all, I mean, they helped me kind of keep tabs on where she was. They would call me back and let me know, okay, yeah, we stopped her, she's okay, or, we suspect this, she was alone, that person wasn't with her. So they helped me on my journey on trying to keep tabs on her, to know where she was and how things were going. Law enforcement isn't the enemy. They're trying just as hard to fight this war on drugs, and they're not perfect. I will tell you about one corrupt office and how all the other counties know they're corrupt. My daughter's vehicle was stranded on the side of the road because they were too high to remember to put gas in it. And then they left the lights on while they were high talking, and it ran the battery down. So it was on a small county road. It was asphalt, but it was kind of a dangerous area. A county sheriff's deputy came up behind them and told them that the car couldn't stay there. Okay, there is no way on this green earth that he didn't know they were both high. So what did he do? He said he'd give them a ride, and he did. He loaded them up in his squad car, and he took them to the next county, dropped them off at a gas station where that gas station called their county to come out and arrest them. I was a little frantic. I knew she was in jail. Thank God she's in jail. She's off the streets. She's not using it that moment. I didn't know where her van was. So I called and I talked to several people within the county that she was arrested, and they had no idea. She didn't have a van where they arrested her because the other county sheriff deputy was the one that dropped her off in that county so that they could deal with it, because he didn't want to deal with it. So then I had to go through. Her van has OnStar. I was able to track it through that and find out where it was. It was at a tow lot. The tow lot has an impound in the back, and it has cars parked up front that are for sale. Guess where her van was? Parked up front, as if it was for sale. I had not been contacted. The guy seemed completely and totally shocked that that van belonged to anybody other than the drug addict that was in it. I believe he had every intention of selling that vehicle, probably for parts because he didn't have the title. But he didn't do a title search. The sheriff deputy was very good friends with that tow driver. And so there is corruption going on. You just have to stay on top of it. That's the exception, that's not the rule. Most law enforcement agencies, they really do want to stop people. They're they're more focused on the people distributing instead of the users, because users are users. They're going to turn around, they're going to reuse. If they arrest them, they're going to spend 24 hours in jail, maybe 48 hours. They're going to get out and they're going to go use again. So it's not their job to go around and arrest all of the drug users, okay, unless they're committing crimes while they're high. But this is a method that can help us, the loved ones that are trying to save our drug addicted family members or friends. So, I just want to encourage you to work with your law enforcement agency. I'm not the type of person that goes around and I'm calling on every person that I know is a drug addict. That's not my job. I worked with all of those law enforcement agencies to help save my daughter, end of story, and get her drug dealer boyfriend behind bars to get him away from her. That worked. He did spend 4 months in jail. Then she was the one that would have had to have testified. She wouldn't testify against him, and he got out. But he spent four months in jail, and I feel like that's an accomplishment. I'm not vindictive, but if he doesn't stay away from my family, you better believe I'm going to do everything I can to put that man back in prison where he belongs. So stay strong. Don't give up hope. There are many avenues out there. In one of my next videos, I'm going to talk about who to call for help, because I hit so many brick walls, it's not funny. Being told, oh, I'm sorry, we can't help you, but here's a number. Oh, but here's 5 numbers. Calling and calling and calling. I don't have all day to try to figure out what number it is I need to call to help my daughter. So I'm going to try to put together a video that might help you to be able to reach the right person within the first or second call instead of 30 or 40 calls later. Stay safe and keep the faith.